We have with us today Mr. Niall Johnston, co-founder of 3D for Medical. Niall, thank you for coming to Auronya's launch event.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. We are honored guests.
It is our honor. So what brings you to India, Niall?
We were invited by Auronya College specifically to showcase the technology that we've developed over the last few years with a view towards implementing it not just within the university, but hopefully perhaps across all of India.
In, 3D for Medical has experienced exponential growth in the last 5 years. How did you feel when Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, addressed you in his keynote global address?
It was a very, very special moment for us. Myself and my business partner, John Moore, have been Apple fans for many, many years, even before Tim Cook, when Steve Jobs was there. So it was fantastic. It was an incredibly proud moment for us. Validation of everything that we've done, because it's been a long, hard journey for us, as it is for most small technology companies that are growing. And it was a very special event for us.
What made you pick up such a new age technology like 3D or augmented reality 5 years ago? They must have been at a very nascent stage, and that too, instead
Yeah.
of going into entertainment, you went into education.
Yeah, we've always had our focus on education. When the iPhone came out, it was obviously a lot smaller than it is today, and Apple came out with this thing called the App Store, and we thought we could really make an application. We didn't know what it meant to make an application or support an application, but we found that we were very, very good at it, and we had some terrific support from within Apple, and went from strength to strength. And we never looked back. So as soon as that happened, even before the iPad came out, we knew that this was home for us, because we read it every day. The feedback from the students who were, had a higher level of learning and were empowered by what we created. We knew we were in the right place.
One of the limitations that we face in the Indian education sector is that there is too much population of students vis-a-vis the brick and mortar capability, not enough institutions. How do you think your technology can benefit Indian students?
Very good question. I think what we bring to the table is two very different things. We bring a technology which is obviously very focused on 3D, creating immersive, interactive solutions for students where they can obtain a higher level of learning. That's the first part, but it's not the only part. With our platform, Complete Anatomy, we bring together experts in their area from all over the world who contribute content to ultimately create solutions that have a technology component and a content component. Specifically, when you bring those two together, it's a home run.
Do you think that 3D education or augmented reality education has reached mass scalability? Because India has got it's a huge population in India, which
Yeah.
is roughly about 1.5 billion.
No, clearly not. But I think there's two distinctions there. You talk about 3D. I think 3D is already here, maybe not to the level of penetration as some of the other countries, but it's there. And you can see it in a number of different applications that are on the market. Augmented reality, no, that's not there yet. But I think it's coming very, very soon. I don't think it's a 3-year cycle before all of the main players have hardware and software in the augmented reality space that is on a consumer level, as opposed to just at the $3,000 per device level. I don't think that's that far away. I really expect to see some major movement in that space in the next 6 to 9 months.
6 to 9 months. That is just in the not too distant future.
Yeah, I honestly think in 2017 we'll see some major announcements from some of these manufacturers, whether it's the Magic Leaps of the world, there's Cast AR, obviously Microsoft has a solution already, and we'll see maybe Apple comes up with something in 2017.
Is your education technology workable on all types of platforms like iOS, Apple, Microsoft, Linux?
It depends on the application. Certainly, we have developed applications on Android, Windows. We've always led with iOS, and of course Mac OS, and we've got Windows applications too. So it kind of depends on the product. Generally, I would say, because we're concentrating on a far smaller number of products going forward, as opposed to a larger volume of products, you'll find that the current products will be available on all of those platforms. They're 80% there now, but by the end of the year, early next year, will be on every platform.
We would like to know more about the patient education, because you had mentioned it in our informal talks, not just about student learning. Could you give us an insight into patient education?
Sure. Patient education improves surgical outcomes. That's the bottom line, and there's studies to prove that. So I think generally, and I'm not speaking for India here, but in the US and in Europe, we've done a terrible job at educating people on their conditions and treatment options. And the truth is, it needs to be improved, because it does improve surgical outcomes. And we've created our first solution in that space. It's called Complete Ortho. It gets released very, very soon. It'll be followed up by a similar application in cardiology. We're going to do one in trauma. We're going to do one in COPD and OBGYN all over the next 12 months to really help people make a better decision on their care. Because understanding what your condition is, understanding what your treatment options are, is ultimately going to improve your healthcare overall.
How important do you think is working with faculty is in terms of developing curriculums and the kind of softwares you're developing?
Well, it's mandatory. Our vision of the democracy of education is essentially finding experts wherever they are in the world, in their particular area of expertise, being able to create content and making that content available to somebody in rural India or rural Ireland, where I'm from, or anywhere else. It shouldn't matter where you are from. It shouldn't matter, what access you have to systems or universities. You should be able to get access to that level of expertise, and that's what we're trying to do.
Professor Klaus Schwab of the World Economic Forum has coined the term the Fourth Industrial Revolution in Davos in 2017. How do you think education is going to transform in this Fourth Industrial Revolution with technology?
Well, I think technology is fantastic. We all have mobile phones. A lot of us have tablets. And I think that's really where it's at. When you have the level of internet connectivity in the developing world that matches the developed world, the world is your oyster. And I think that, there's no doubt that unique solutions are going to be developed or are already in development. Case in point, ours. We're certainly not going to be the only one who can really help the developing world in that democracy of education, because that's what it's about.
What do you think is the goal or the purpose of joining hands with Auronya for the research and development lab that you're signing the MOU with Auronya for?
Well, we're delighted to have a memorandum of understanding with Auronya College. Obviously, very progressive. The vision you have for your university is very similar to our vision in terms of how we develop as a company. Having resources where we can do research and development in a variety of different things, whether it's 3D, whether it's programming, whether it's medical writing, curriculum development. I think it's a very nice model, and it's a model that certainly works for us as an organization, and we're looking forward to getting that started.
So do you see a future of, instead of 3D for medical, to be 3D for education?
I don't know yet. It could be 3D for engineering or 3D for, we don't know. Ultimately, it's a journey, right? And we're looking forward to the opportunity of partnering with.
So you're open to experimenting in all the academic streams?
Yeah, clearly.
In terms of India as a country, what potential do you see of such high-end education technologies for the Indian generations of the future?
We can make a difference. We know that our technology makes a difference. We read it every day in the reviews from people who've consumed our applications through the reviews in the various app stores. We know that. And we would like to extend that opportunity to India. And on top of that, be able to provide them access to experts in particular areas to ultimately improve their level of education, which makes, obviously, the country a better place.
Some of the education applications that you have developed are not just per se medical education. For example, yoga. What made you go and develop a full program on yoga?
It was a really interesting project, and we actually used some motion capture technology in that project. We had developed a number of products in the health and wellness. We developed, first of all, a product called iMuscle, which became the best-selling fitness app in a number of years ago. And as a consequence, we thought, let's let's move left or right into some other applications. So we found in San Diego actually the top yoga instructor, and worked with her and a motion capture studio to essentially create an entire library of yoga exercises and ultimately be able to create workouts based on that. It was a very, very interesting project, and that product still does very, very well for us.
So I guess in the land of yoga, the next version is going to come from Auronya.
Yeah. Quite possibly, quite possibly.
In terms of research and development going forward in the next 2 years, which are the areas that you are focusing on?
Yeah.
India as well as global.
Well, I think it's less a geography, and I think that's the biggest point. The issue is not the geography of where you do the research and development. The question really is, what are you developing, right? What's the research that you're looking at? We're looking at personalized anatomy, which we think is going to be a fantastic opportunity for us. Essentially, what it does is it takes DICOM data, and instead of creating a 3D model out of it, you take the 3D model and you superimpose it on the DICOM data to create surgical planning tools, primarily for orthopedics and cardiology. So that's a particular area of interest for us. We're also looking at, obviously we've talked about augmented reality.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't released a product in that space yet. That's a major opportunity for us. And then there's a couple of others that we keep a little closer to the chest that we don't talk about for the future. But
okay, data predicts that by 2028, humanity will be facing some of the diseases which are more on the behavioral side. For example, attention deficit disorders, obesity, stress, tension, aggravation. Do you plan to tackle depression, obesity, health habits, food habits through your application in the future?
Absolutely. Our health and wellness applications have done very well for us over the years, but we really need to step it up to the next level and actually create applications that ultimately change behavior and influence behavior. And we know that. So I wouldn't say we'll do anything within 2017, but look for some progress from us in 2018 and beyond. We're absolutely aware of what needs to be done in that space, and we've got the capabilities of doing it.
Well, we at Auronya are very proud to have you collaborating with us as a partner, and we look forward to an era of creativity.
Thank you.
With you working at our research and development labs.
And by the same token, we're delighted to be here. We're delighted to have this partnership, and really look forward to where this takes us.
Thank you.
Thank
you,
you.
Niall. Thank you for coming.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.